9 out of 10 startups fail, as you've probably heard. Most of that happens because of the product. Duh. But how do you make sure you're building the product that people want and actually gonna pay money for? That is a great question. That's what we're gonna answer today. Hello everyone, my name is Sergey Vorby. I'm the CEO and co-founder of WorkAI, an AI virtual assistant that helps companies and entrepreneurs and office workers to take care of administrative tasks. If that's you, make sure to check out our website workai.com. But how did we come up with that idea? We knew that we wanted to join an AI bubble with some kind of AI assistant, but before dedicating months of work and the last few $1,000s that we had into building the product, we actually decided first to start meeting with people to find out what problems they had. Because we have a pretty wide network of entrepreneurs and startups around ourselves, we quickly found out that the common struggle was doing repetitive administrative tasks, emails, documents, calendars, searching, all of that stuff. Then we started having more specific meetings to find out what kind of features they actually need and what kind of features they actually use. Don't expect people to suddenly appear and buy your product once you build it. If I build it, they will come. Nope, unfortunately it doesn't work that way. I learned that from the book called The Lean Startup, and the most important thing is to find out what kind of problem they actually have so that you have something to solve. Here's the thing, they can't tell you what they want or what kind of product you should build. That is your job to find out. If they tell you that they want this product, you're gonna end up with a product that either one client wants and the custom product for that client, or eventually no one wants the product whatsoever. For some reason. To avoid that, have a quick 15-20 minute meeting and just try to ask people what kind of workflow they have, what things they do, and what kind of problems they might have. Because essentially what you're trying to do is to actually help them figure out what the problem they have, because most likely they don't know themselves. But that's what you're here for, to help them. That way you're building by a persona or an image of your target audience who actually gonna buy your product. When you have a pretty good idea what kind of product you want to build, you can start recording a video MVP, which is a short video that describes what kind of product is it, what it does, and just describes it in more detail, but before actually building it. If you want to build a software or some kind of software as a service platform, before actually committing to it and making it all autonomous, you can start doing things manually behind the scenes. That way you're gonna have a few customers that kind of think that that platform does everything autonomously, but actually it's you behind the scene who does everything manually. The perfect example is zapatos.com, which was like the first website that started selling shoes online. First, they started testing things out by going to the actual store and taking pictures of all the shoes and uploading them to their website. And once people come to their website and buy the shoes on that website, they go manually to the store, buy the shoes, and then they supply to the person who bought it from the website. So that was manual process for the first few customers, but it proved the concept that people actually want that and they use it and they pay for it. And you can do kind of the similar thing if you want to do e-commerce or some kind of drop shipping. Before buying boxes of goods and storing them in your apartment, you can actually direct people to go to your website and ask them to buy a pre-order. And once they send you the money, you can actually use that to buy the things and ship them. All of that will give you a pretty good idea if there is actually need for this. If there is, then you keep on going. If not, then you do something else. Keep iterating and testing everything. Pivot or persevere accordingly. But let's talk about what kind of questions you actually ask on those meetings. I keep saying meeting because it's not the same as sending a link to a service that takes 10 minutes to fill. It's a completely different experience for both you and the customer if you have an actual face-to-face meeting, either through some video conference software or an actual meeting in real life. But if you live in the same town, it's even better if you can invite them for a cup of coffee. The book called The Mom Test actually nails the whole process. It also has some really nice questions to ask on those validation meetings. Here are the questions that I ask constantly on these meetings. Number 1, can you talk me through your workflow? That is a really good question to start with, because first you want to figure out what kind of job they actually do. They will start talking you through the whole workflow, or maybe even lifestyle, depending on what kind of products you want to offer. And all of that is an incredibly important information for you, because you actually want to tap into their workflow, tap into their lifestyle. Number 2, what are the 3 big things that you're trying to solve right now? That is a really great question to ask if you still don't know what kind of problem you're trying to solve, but you know that you want to work in that area. Number 3, what sort of difficulties came up with that solution? Answer to that question will let you know what kind of tools they tried. Maybe you will find out who's your competition and what kind of problems they have. That way you can actually start developing your competitive advantage if you know that that's something you're going to continue working with. Number 4, if they tell you what kind of feature you should add, ask them what that will allow you to do. Or ask them, do you think we should push back the launch date and add the feature, or is it something we can add later? That is a really great question to ask if they want some kind of feature, but you don't know if that is actually a deal breaker for them, or is it just some mere convenience for this particular customer. And if these clients keep telling you the features that you should be building and you don't check those features, you're actually gonna end up with MVP that is clogged with features, that does everything and nothing at the same time. Because it's better to build a product that does one thing really great than a product that does everything but everything on average or poorly. Number 5. What would be your dream product? You should ask that question if you already have a pretty good idea what kind of product they might want. And that only works if you have follow-up questions after it. Number 6. At the end, always ask, is there anything else I should have asked? You're a startup, you're building an MVP. Of course, there's probably something that you forgot to ask but should have. So it's okay to ask for any kind of feedback, or maybe they just want to add something that you probably didn't ask. Number 7. Always you want to ask for leads. Who else should I talk to? Ask for referrals. Ask them to introduce you to someone, because if they're not interested but they know someone who is interested, they will have a higher chance on actually working with you because they get recommended by that guy with whom you met first. It's a good idea to keep these meetings short but still trying to cover everything important. Prepare the most important questions before the meeting and expect to have tons of follow-ups in between. They're gonna be probably not what you expected, but that's the point. And don't forget that it's a meeting, not an interview, because it's just gonna be weird. Keep it casual as a conversation. You don't even have to mention your idea. It's even better if you don't say that you have this idea, because that way you will start avoiding the compliments. Yeah, we all know those compliments, like, yeah, you're doing a great thing, yeah, I would totally use it, and then no one uses it. Try to avoid those compliments about the product, the niche, the market that you're in, that you're doing everything right, that you got it under control, that you're gonna be a millionaire or everything. Those are nothing but the words. If they tell you that they're gonna buy it, they're not, they just make you feel good. And you can't blame them, they just want to be polite. After the meeting, take notes on everything that you heard. If you're in the Zoom meeting, record the screen, but beforehand, ask them if that's okay. Also, it's a really good idea to include your other co-founders or other team members who work with you so that they can be on the same page. Maybe they even have their own questions that they want to ask. And when you got everything covered and you know pretty much what they need, you can start building it. But even then, you still want to make sure that you're building the right thing. You can do that by actually keep having those meetings during the development process and even after you build the MVP. You want to have meetings about the visuals, the website, the product, the features, absolutely everything. Because that's what being an entrepreneur in a startup is about. You're just moving in the darkness and trying to find the right way by actually having those kind of meetings and interviews. Remember, they won't tell you what they want and what kind of product you should build. That is your job to find out. It's really good if you work hard and you're dedicated to your vision, but that alone is not going to make clients to buy your product. You need to be sure at all times that you're solving a real problem, and the only way to find out is to ask.